What drives a man to defy an empire, to rise against impossible odds for the sake of a nation? In the misty hills of Scotland, one figure emerged to answer that call: William Wallace. His tale is one of valor and rebellion, but hidden within it lies a secret that could change everything. Born around 1270, Wallace's early life was shrouded in mystery. Growing up in a Scotland divided by rival clans, he witnessed the oppression of his people, igniting a flame of resistance that would burn bright throughout his life. After the death of his father, Wallace became even more aware of the injustices faced by the Scots when the English crown imposed harsh taxes and governance, sowing seeds of rebellion in his heart. By 1297, the spark of rebellion would ignite into a wildfire. Wallace, alongside his ally Andrew Moray, launched a campaign against the English forces, beginning with a surprise attack at the Battle of Stirling Bridge. As the sun rose over the bridge, Wallace's forces, greatly outnumbered, displayed extraordinary courage. Their clever strategy, utilizing the narrowness of the bridge, turned the tide of battle in their favor. The victory at Stirling Bridge was a monumental triumph for Wallace, inspiring countless Scots to join his cause and rally around the banner of freedom. But this was merely the beginning. Despite their victory, Wallace faced significant challenges ahead. The English king, Edward I, was relentless and vowed to crush the rebellion. Wallace's journey was fraught with danger and betrayal. In 1298, Wallace faced his greatest challenge at the Battle of Falkirk. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, the Scots fought bravely, yet the English army prevailed, forcing Wallace to retreat. After the defeat, Wallace became a fugitive, evading capture while continuing to inspire resistance. His reputation grew, and he became known as a symbol of hope and defiance for the Scots. But as Wallace's fame spread, so did the English king's determination to capture him. The hunt for Wallace intensified, leading to betrayals that would ultimately seal his fate. In 1305, Wallace was finally captured in a treacherous betrayal. Brought before King Edward, he would face a trial that would echo through history, igniting the flames of injustice. Even in chains, Wallace declared his unwavering love for Scotland, refusing to plead for mercy. His courage inspired many, even in the face of certain death. On August 23, 1305, Wallace was executed in a brutal manner, but his spirit endured. His martyrdom galvanized the Scottish people to continue the fight for freedom. In the wake of his death, the struggle for Scottish independence persisted. Wallace's legacy became a beacon, lighting the way for future generations to rise against tyranny. In 1314, just 9 years after his execution, Robert the Bruce led the Scots to victory at the Battle of Bannockburn. Wallace's influence remained, pushing the Scots closer to freedom. Years passed, and the memory of William Wallace grew into legend. Songs were sung, tales were told, and his name became synonymous with bravery and sacrifice. The Scots would continue to fight for their freedom, drawing strength from Wallace's undying spirit. His life and death served as an eternal reminder of the cost of liberty. Today, monuments stand in honor of Wallace, memorializing his sacrifices. The National Wallace Monument, towering over Stirling, celebrates the legacy of this remarkable man. In film and literature, Wallace's story has transcended time, inspiring countless interpretations of his life. His spirit resonates, reminding us of the power of resilience and determination. However, behind the myth lies a man of flesh and blood, whose life exemplified the struggle for freedom. William Wallace's story is not just about rebellion, but the unyielding human spirit. As we reflect on his journey, we can draw lessons of courage, unity, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Wallace's legacy urges us to stand firm against oppression in our own times. William Wallace remains a powerful symbol for Scotland and beyond. His life echoes the struggles faced by those who dare to dream of freedom and justice. The essence of Wallace's story lies not only in his battles, but in his unyielding belief that freedom is worth fighting for. a lesson etched forever in the annals of history. And so, as we honor his legacy, let us remember the courage of William Wallace. For within his fight for Scotland's freedom lies the spirit of countless generations yearning for liberty. William Wallace's story endures, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. If you found inspiration in his life, consider subscribing for more stories that echo through history. In the aftermath of the Battle of Stirling Bridge, Wallace's victory ignited hope across Scotland. The clans rallied behind him, their banners unfurling in solidarity, signaling a united front against tyranny. Yet, with hope came the weight of immense responsibility. Could one man truly lead a nation to freedom? As Wallace traveled through the rugged terrain of Scotland, he inspired fervor in the hearts of the oppressed. His speeches echoed through valleys, stirring a passion for freedom that had lain dormant for too long. The sound of his voice, a clarion call, resonated with the dreams of a nation. The years following Stirling saw Wallace's influence expand, but also the shadow of conflict grow. Edward I, the English king, sought to crush this rebellion with brutal force. The tides of war began to shift, and the stakes grew ever higher, pouring salt into the wounds of freedom. With rising tensions, Wallace formed alliances with other noble clans, each bringing their own warriors to the cause. They strategized in candlelit halls, plotting their moves against the English forces that threatened their freedom. It was a gamble, one that would either unite Scotland or see it shattered. In the summer of 1298, the inevitable clash arrived at the Battle of Falkirk. Wallace, determined yet wary, led his men with resolute heart. The scent of battle filled the air, mixed with the cries of warriors and the clanging of swords as history prepared to unfold. The battle raged fiercely, and though the Scots fought valiantly, they faced a relentless English onslaught. New tactics, including mounted knights, changed the game. In that tumultuous moment, Wallace understood that victory would not come easy and measured the cost of rebellion. In the thick of the fray, Wallace's resolve remained unshaken. His presence alone inspired those around him. Even as the tide turned against their favor, the realization dawned that this battle could change the trajectory of Scotland's fight for freedom forever. Despite the valiant efforts of the Scots, the Battle of Falkirk ended in defeat. Wallace, heart heavy with the burden of loss, retreated to the Highlands. Yet, even in defeat, his spirit remained unbroken. He vowed to continue the fight, knowing the flame of freedom could not be extinguished. In the following months, Wallace sought refuge in the shadows of the Scottish hills. He became a symbol of hope, a ghost haunting the English armies. Whispers of his name spread, energizing the Scots and igniting their desire for freedom once more. As the seasons changed, so did the landscape of rebellion. The Scots began to regroup, their hearts aflame with the memories of their fallen comrades. Wallace's passion fueled their fire, propelling them toward a new chapter in their struggle for freedom. In the summer of 1300, fresh hope blossomed. Wallace's efforts began to bear fruit as more clans united under his banner. Their spirits soared, and the prospect of a united Scotland shimmered like the morning sun over the hills. With renewed vigor, Wallace planned a campaign to reclaim lost territory. His strategies were bold, and his men rallied around him, ready to fight for their freedom. The echoes of his belief in a free Scotland rang through the valleys, inspiring all who heard. As the Scots prepared for battle, an unexpected ally emerged. Robert the Bruce, a nobleman with ambitions of his own, sought to join forces with Wallace. Together, they envisioned a Scotland free from English rule, but internal rivalries threatened to derail their plans. However, the path to unity was fraught with danger. Distrust lingered among the clans, each with their own grievances and ambitions. Wallace knew that to achieve their goal, he had to overcome these divisions. But how could he unite a fractured army? As Wallace navigated the treacherous waters of politics and ambition, his leadership was put to the test. He spoke passionately about the vision of a free Scotland, reminding each clan of their shared heritage and responsibility. Would they listen and follow him into battle? Despite the obstacles, Wallace prepared for a decisive confrontation. The tension in the air was palpable, as both sides anticipated what was to come. The clash of steel and the cries of men would soon echo across the landscape once more, marking the next chapter of their struggle. In March of 1303, the Scots launched an audacious attack on the English-held castle of Dundee. Wallace led the charge, a beacon of hope for his men. The sound of his battle cry rallied them, igniting a fierce determination to reclaim their land. The siege was fierce, and the walls of Dundee withstood the onslaught. Yet, for every moment of despair, the Scots found strength in their unity. Each victory, no matter how small, reignited the flame of rebellion, reminding them that their fight was not in vain. After weeks of relentless fighting, the castle finally fell. The sense of triumph was overwhelming, yet a shadow of doubt lingered in Wallace's mind. What would be the English king's response? Would their victory lead to further bloodshed? As Wallace celebrated this hard-won victory, news traveled quickly. The English king's wrath was swift, sending a formidable army northward, determined to crush this renewed rebellion. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test the very fabric of Scotland's fight for freedom. In the face of overwhelming odds, Wallace gathered his forces once more. He knew that the battle ahead would be one for the ages, and so he urged his men to remember their purpose. For every fallen comrade, every scar endured, their fight was a testament to their unyielding spirit. As the fateful day approached, the climactic Battle of Bannockburn loomed on the horizon. Wallace's heart swelled with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. The outcome would determine not only their fate, but the very future of Scotland itself. With destiny at their doorstep, Wallace and his men faced the dawn of a new day. The sun rose over the battlefield, illuminating both hope and fear. In that moment, they prepared to forge their legacy, a fight that would echo through history. As the clash of arms began, the cries of both sides rang out in a tumultuous symphony of valor and despair. Wallace fought fiercely, his heart fueled by the spirit of his fallen comrades, each swing of his sword resonating with their sacrifice. The battle raged for hours, with neither side willing to yield. Wallace's strategic brilliance shone through as he adapted to the enemy's movements, urging his men to fight not just for land but for their very lives and the freedom they yearned for. As the sun dipped low in the sky, a shift occurred. The Scots, fueled by the spirit of Wallace, found a surge of strength against the weary English forces. The tide began to turn, and hope ignited anew in the hearts of the Scottish warriors. In the final moments of the battle, Wallace's resolve shone brightest. With one last push, the Scots surged forward, their victory cry resounding through the fields of Bannockburn. Freedom felt tangible, almost within their grasp as they fought with everything they had. As the dust settled, Bannockburn would be remembered as a pivotal moment in Scottish history. Wallace's leadership and valor inspired generations, but the struggle for freedom was far from over. The echoes of battle would continue to shape their legacy. Even after Bannockburn, Wallace understood the fight was ongoing. His story, woven into the fabric of Scotland's struggle for freedom, would continue to inspire. As we reflect on his legacy, let us remember the indomitable spirit he embodied, a flame that still flickers today. In the wake of Bannockburn, the Scottish morale surged. Villages reclaimed their spirit, rallying under the banner of freedom. They spoke of Wallace's bravery, igniting hope that perhaps, just perhaps, independence was within reach. However, the English crown remained unyielding. Edward II, despite the recent defeat, plotted his revenge. His armies, determined to crush the rebellion, prepared to march once more into the heart of Scotland. Wallace, ever strategic, recognized the need for alliances. He sought the support of the Scottish nobility, reminding them of their shared heritage and the importance of unity against oppression. As the sun set behind the Highlands, whispers of courage spread like wildfire. Soon, small bands of warriors formed, ready to take up arms. Each man carried the hope of freedom, driven by the legend of Wallace. In the shadows of the hills, the first skirmishes began. Wallace's men engaged in guerrilla tactics, striking swiftly before melting back into the landscape, a strategy that echoed his own elusive nature. The English retaliated fiercely. Villages were set ablaze and the skies darkened with the smoke of despair. Yet, these losses only fueled the fire within the Scottish hearts, their resolve hardening like steel. Rumors of Wallace's movements began to spread. Tales of his relentless assaults and acts of bravery inspired many to join his cause. Common folk, farmers, and even disillusioned knights. Wallace's strategic brilliance showed during the ambush at Stirling. The English, confident in their numbers, underestimated the fervor of the Scots, setting the stage for a legendary confrontation. The day of battle dawned, the air thick with anticipation. Wallace, his heart pounding, felt the weight of his people's hopes pressing against his chest. Today, victory would be a testament to their resilience. As the clash of metal rang out, the battlefield transformed into a chaotic symphony. Wallace, at the forefront, rallied his troops with fierce battle cries, echoing the legacy of freedom. Victory at Stirling Bridge would soon be etched into the annals of history. Yet, for Wallace, it was not merely about winning, it was about igniting a flame that would burn long after the battle ended. But the victory brought its own challenges. With more eyes on him, Wallace's actions would be scrutinized. The burden of leadership weighed heavily, and betrayal loomed in the shadows. As the tides of war continued to shift, Wallace remained relentless. Every decision was made with his people in mind. Each battle fought not just for land, but for the very soul of Scotland. In the distant halls of power, Edward II plotted once more. Determined to crush the spirit of rebellion, he sought to turn the tide against Wallace, rallying a formidable force. With each passing day, hope and despair danced together. Wallace's impact had gained international attention, drawing the gaze of neighboring realms while also bringing greater danger to his door. Allies began to appear, foreign knights eager to join a cause that transcended borders. Wallace saw in them a chance to strengthen his forces, but trust was a fragile thing in war's embrace. As Wallace stood amidst gathered warriors, he understood the importance of legacy. He was not just fighting for Scotland's freedom, but for a vision of unity that could inspire generations to come. In the aftermath of each battle, the scars of war painted Scotland's landscape. Yet, amid the ruins, new seeds of hope were sown, nurtured by the stories of bravery and struggle. Every tale of Wallace's courage was a reminder that freedom was not merely a gift. It was a fight, a relentless pursuit that required sacrifice, a lesson passed down through the ages. As the years unfolded, Wallace's name became synonymous with the spirit of rebellion. His story, woven into the very fabric of Scottish identity, inspired not only his own people, but also future generations. Yet, amidst the rising tide of support and admiration, enemies circled closer. Wallace knew that each victory was a double-edged sword, revealing both allies and adversaries alike. The battle was far from over. Wallace, with unwavering resolve, prepared to face whatever came next. He knew his fight was not just for freedom, but for the very future of Scotland. As the mantle of leadership rested heavily on his shoulders, Wallace reflected on the sacrifices already made. Each life lost weighed on him, but also ignited his determination to honor their memory. Every dawn brought new challenges, yet Wallace did not falter. With steadfast courage, he ventured onward, believing that the path to freedom was paved with perseverance and unity. As whispers of impending conflict grew louder, Wallace prepared to rally his troops once again. The fight for Scotland's freedom was aflame, and he was its unyielding torchbearer. In those moments of preparation, a sense of camaraderie blossomed. Wallace's vision of a united Scotland drew men and women together, forging bonds that would withstand the fires of war. As the war drums beat in the distance, the ideals of freedom and justice intertwined. The fight had become a symbol of resistance against oppression, a battle for dignity that transcended borders. In the heart of battle, Wallace's roar became a rallying cry, a reminder that their fight was not in vain. Each clash of swords resonated with the hopes of a nation yearning for freedom. The journey of Wallace was far from a solitary one. His strength lay not only in his valor, but in the unwavering support of those who dared to stand alongside him, united in their quest for liberty. As the saga of William Wallace unfolded, it became clear that their fight was more than just territorial. It represented the quintessential human spirit, the desire for freedom, identity, and justice. As the sun dipped below the rugged Scottish hills, the whispers of rebellion grew louder. Wallace, now emerging as a legendary figure, propelled his band of brothers into greater battles. The fire of freedom ignited their spirits, and each clash echoed their desire to reclaim their homeland. The fight against the English overlords reached a pivotal moment at the Battle of Stirling Bridge. Wallace's strategic brilliance, coupled with the determination of his men, turned the tides. The bridge, a symbol of hope, became the stage for an unforgettable stand for liberty. The roar of battle cries filled the air as Wallace and his troops advanced. With each swing of their swords, they carved a path toward freedom, their hearts beating in unison. It was a fight not just for land, but for the very essence of their identity. Though heavily outnumbered, Wallace's tactical genius shone through the chaos. He utilized the terrain to his advantage, making the enemy's numbers seem less daunting. The tide of battle shifted, and the Scots emerged victorious against all odds. In the aftermath of the battle, the air filled with the scent of wet earth and the sound of victory cheers. Wallace, standing tall, became a beacon of hope, representing the unyielding spirit of Scotland. His name was now etched into the annals of history. However, triumph was fleeting. The English sought retribution, and the winds of war shifted once more. Wallace, undeterred, rallied his forces, knowing that the struggle for freedom was far from over. But what came next would test their resolve like never before. The following months brought relentless conflict. Wallace and his men faced numerous skirmishes, each one a testament to their unwavering fight. With each victory came a heavy price. The memories of lost brothers weighed heavily upon them. At the heart of their struggle, Wallace always recalled the faces of the innocent. His passion for justice drove him forward, inspiring a growing number of Scots to join their cause. The flame of rebellion, once small, was now a roaring fire. Yet, as the tide turned, betrayal lurked in the shadows. Allies turned against one another, and trust began to falter. Wallace's spirit remained unbroken, but the uncertainty of the future cast a long shadow over their fight for freedom. The culmination of their struggles came at the Battle of Falkirk. Wallace, despite being a brilliant tactician, faced a formidable challenge. As the battle began, thunder rolled overhead, a sign of the fierce fight to come. With each clash of steel, hearts were tested. The chaos of war drowned out cries for freedom, but Wallace remained resolute, his eyes fixed on the horizon. He understood that the legacy of their fight would resonate for generations. However, fate had other plans. The English forces, equipped with new tactics and resolve, eventually overpowered the Scots. As the smoke cleared, Wallace found himself amidst the scattered remnants of a once unyielding army. With the loss at Falkirk, Wallace's heart grew heavy. The burden of leadership weighed down on him, yet he knew that every struggle led to something greater. He chose to retreat, preserving the spirit of resistance for future battles. As he slipped into the shadows of the Highlands, whispers of his name grew louder among the people. Even in exile, Wallace's legacy remained alive, inspiring a new generation to rise against tyranny. The fight for freedom was not over. Wallace's journey took him across Scotland, where he gathered support and devised plans. The resolve of the people reignited, and a glimmer of hope shone through the darkness. It was a movement fueled by passion, driven by the will to be free. While the tides of rebellion ebbed and flowed, Wallace's spirit never wavered. With each dawn, he felt the pulse of his homeland beneath him. Each heartbeat reminded him of the lives that depended on his courage and unwavering determination. But soon, betrayal would come again. A trusted ally, seduced by power, revealed Wallace's whereabouts. The English, tracking him like a hawk, finally closed in. The time for battle was at hand once more, but this would be different. Captured and brought before the English king, Wallace stood defiant. His spirit, though shackled, blazed like a beacon. He was not merely a prisoner. He was a symbol of resistance that no chains could ever bind. The trial that followed was a mockery of justice, where Wallace's bravery shone even brighter. He spoke not of defeat, but of his undying love for Scotland. His words, a rallying cry, inspired those who would listen even from the darkest of places. As the verdict was delivered, the air thickened with tension. Wallace's fate was sealed, but his spirit soared above the oppressive weight of the moment. In that final hour, he became more than a man. He became a legend in the hearts of his people. In his final moments, Wallace stood tall, unbroken. The English could take his life, but they could never extinguish the fire of freedom he ignited. His death became a rallying cry that reverberated through the ages, echoing in the hearts of Scots. The years that followed would see Scotland's struggle continue, inspired by the indomitable spirit of Wallace. His legacy became a cornerstone for future generations, a reminder that freedom is a flame that must be tended with courage and sacrifice. Through the centuries, Wallace's story has inspired countless revolutions. His life embodies the eternal quest for freedom and justice, teaching us that even in defeat, the fight for what is right can illuminate the darkest paths. Today, memorials stand in his honor across Scotland, each stone a testament to his bravery. They tell stories of valor and resilience, reminding all who visit that the essence of Wallace lives on in the spirit of the nation he fought for. As we reflect on William Wallace's legacy, we find echoes of his fight for freedom in our own lives. His story urges us to stand against oppression and strive for justice, no matter the challenges we face. In the end, Wallace reminds us that the love for one's homeland is a powerful force. His life may have ended in tragedy, but the spirit of his rebellion continues to inspire. Let his journey be a guiding light for generations to come.